Well, this is actually the second phase of the remediation project. The first phase was done a few years ago, and they have to finish what they were doing. What happened was at the intersection of Walton and 8th, there used to be a power plant. And in order to produce power, they burn coal. Well, a byproduct of that is this kind of tar-like substance. And back in the 1800s, I mean, they didn't have the environmental rules we have now, so they basically took it out back and dumped it on the ground. Well, over time, that tar kind of seeped into the dirt, and so the first phase of the project, they cleaned all the soil on the top, but there's still quite a bit of this tar substance underneath the ground. It's about 15 feet deep. And so they have to get in there, and they're going to have to, make sure that all that tar doesn't hurt the environment or the water table or anything like that. So unfortunately, a big part of what they need to remediate is under what is currently Walton Way. It's underneath the road itself. It's not on each side. It's actually under the road. So this is part two of, like I said, this is phase two of a project. Atlanta Gas Light would like to finish up the project. And so we had meetings several months ago about what it was going to take for them to do that. And so they've chosen, they went through the whole process, and they've got their contractor, so that's why they're starting it now. The Atlanta Gas Light project, and they're a subsidiary of Southern Company, which owns Georgia Power, and all that. All that. And so we have to monitor what they're doing. Obviously, there's a big traffic impact. That's my part of it. We'll also be monitoring their stormwater runoff and some other things. So we're mostly doing the inspection, kind of oversight of it, but they're doing all the work. So that's why they have to actually close the road, because they're going to remove that portion of Walton Way, do their remediation, and then put it all back. A normal day, about 15 to 16,000 cars travel through that portion of Walton Way, which is a pretty significant amount. The detour plan shows them going down 8th Street to Tailfair, and then over to 9th Street, and then back up. So it's kind of a big U. It's for the roads that are in the area, it's the best solution that we could come up with. We understand it'll cause delay and it'll be inconvenient. But as soon as Atlanta Gas Light finishes with this project, they won't have to come back. This will be the end of it. Well, there's one detour for both directions. Okay. So if you're coming towards downtown, you'll turn on 9th and go down to Tailfair. If you're coming the other direction, you'll turn on 8th and go down to Tailfair. So it's regardless of which way you go, you're just going to go around. There's some other smaller streets in there that you can turn on if you want, if you don't want to go all the way down to Tailfair, but we would encourage people to go all the way down to Tailfair Street because it has traffic signals, and we're going to modify the signal timing on all of the traffic signals on the detour to make sure that we can get people through there as quickly as we can. The signals are set up for Walton Way. Most of the traffic is on Walton Way, and that's going to change quite a bit. So we'll go in on Monday after they set up their detour, and we will adjust the signal.
What's right?
Well, there are two separate train tracks. Walton Way has an overpass over the train track that goes up and down 6th Street. And so you can still access that overpass. You just have to kind of get it in a roundabout way. There is another train track that kind of runs parallel to Walton Way. We've worked with CSX and some of the other railroad companies to try to minimize the disruption, but at the same time they're a business, and they're in the business of moving freight, so they got to move it. And I'm thinking it's probably a fair number that once it starts, we'll probably just find another way to go around it. That's what we would encourage people to do, is to find an alternate route. And the volumes on that street should lower after the project starts, because people that drive through it a few times will either get used to it and just do it, or they'll get maybe a little frustrated with the delay, and they'll just go somewhere else. So we made sure that every street that's closed, when it's closed, has a detour around it. Pre-construction meeting yesterday, and we emphasized the fact that street will be open for Masters Week. So their current schedule shows them being done with the remediation and having rebuilt the road by the end of February. Now, they fall behind, weather-related issues or, other related issues. We've told them that wherever they are in that process, they will have to rebuild that road and put it back and open it up for Masters. There's no question about that. So for the week of the Masters next year, which is actually the second week in April, so I think it starts the 8th, that road will be open.
Okay. Well